Okay.
And we have no music on or radio on here.
Okay.
So the noise is coming from you, Mr. Dale.
Well, I hear.
Hi, Jeff.
All right.
Hi there.
Hi, Jackie.
Hi, Randy.
Jackie, get out of here.
I will.
She's going to take my place tonight.
She is.
No, she could.
She could. Let's wait like a minute, but then we'll plan on starting pretty much on time. We'll give people one more minute to get in. Thanks for being here on time, everybody. Okay, hi everybody. So I am going to get started. Oops, sorry about that. I just unmuted myself. So for those of you who don't know, my name is Randy Lowe and I'm the superintendent here with the Taconic and Green Regional School District. And this evening we have a few board members on with us right now. Melanie Virgilio, she and I are both here at the BRSU office. Dick Dale, Jeff Wilson, David Chandler, John Wilson. So all of those folks are TNG board members. There may be more people coming in. And then I can see we've got, it looks like a few members of the community. So thank you for joining us tonight. I do have a presentation. It's not very long. It's pretty simple. And this is an informational session that is a requirement for us to hold right before any type of a vote. And really the purpose is to make sure that folks in the public who are voting have the opportunity to really understand what they're voting on. I believe probably those of you on this meeting have a pretty good sense of that, but I'm going to share a presentation, essentially just go over some key kind of high level comments about the why, and then share with you information about what you'll be voting on, some of the details of the process. Okay, so once I'm done with the presentation, we'll open it up for questions, and I'll reiterate this later, but it's really, kind of high level questions because we've had opportunities for other conversations. But especially if it's not a huge number of people on, I do want to make sure you have the opportunity to ask questions. So we'll kind of go with the flow once it's over, and hopefully you get a sense of have an understanding of what it is that you're voting on and why tomorrow. Okay, so let me share my screen. I think I'm gonna do it this way. Okay, I cannot see any of you, but can you see my screen? Yes, and folks can hear me? Okay, this is really weird because of the way I'm presenting it right now. I literally can't see any of you. Melanie's here, so I guess if there's any glitches, just signal to Mel somehow so that I know, all right? So as I said, this is an informational session prior to tomorrow's non-binding referendum vote in the communities of Sunderland, Danby, and Mount Tabor regarding proposed school closures. So really, when we think about the big kind of high-end why questions about why we're discussing this, we find ourselves with kind of long-term declining enrollment within all of Taconic and Green, and it's throughout the state. Frankly, it's probably throughout most areas of the country. And so we are finding that all 5 Taconic and Green schools are under enrolled. And what we see as a result of that is we've reached this point where what we can provide for our students programmatically is at a crossroads with the budget and with costs associated with programming. Essentially, we're really operating with not enough kids, and kids aren't having access to the services that they need and deserve within our system. And so we're saying, hey, we need to consolidate to have a more educationally efficient system so that students have the services that they, again, need and deserve. And we are able to not explode the Taconic and Green budget. So it's trying to balance what students need with being fiscally responsible within the district. So, the biggest kind of underlying reason for why is this important is if we were to, in all of our schools, provide equitable programming, the kids had everything that they need, the budget increase and the tax increase would be really, really high. And we can provide we can provide access for all of our kids in a way that's much more fiscally responsible. And so that's why the proposal is what it is at this point. So, so the Articles of Agreement, when Taconic and Green merged, part of the requirement under the Articles of Agreement was to address a school closure process within the district. So the process that we've been following, that we are in the middle of following right now, is what's outlined in the Articles of Agreement. So we had a community forum 2 weeks ago in Sunderland and last week in Danby at the Courier Memorial School, so that we could share details related to that proposed school closure and our concerns related to each individual school community and what was at stake, so that the community members could really understand what we were talking about. So we held those forums. That's the first part of the process. The second part is where we are right now, which is holding a non-binding referendum vote in the community. So this information session is tied directly to that second step in the process. And so, we're sharing information with you today. And then next week, in our system, the third step is that 75% of the school board needs to vote for, in favor of a school closure, a school to close. And so in a 13-member board, that means that 10 of the 13 board members need to vote in support of that closing that school. So we right now are at step 2. Board meeting is next week, where they will have the vote. And I'll talk about some of those details in a couple of minutes. So this non-binding referendum that we're talking about right now is really a way for the school board to hear from members of the community. It is a way for the community to say how to, communicate with the board about how they feel about closing the school. It informs the board. It lets the board know, hey, the people that voted, these are the folks who are supportive of that closure with the information that they've received, and these are the folks who are not supportive of it. This vote that you have tomorrow does not determine whether the school will close or not. It's simply informing the board of how the community feels. So those votes are tomorrow at your local polling station. I've got that information coming up. So for the Courier community, this is what the question is going to be. You're going to see this tomorrow on that non-binding referendum. And the school board of directors of the Taconic and Green Regional School District are contemplating closure of Curry Memorial School located in Danby, Vermont. Pursuant to Article 14 of the Articles of Agreement, the board of directors presents the following non-binding advisory question to the eligible voters of the towns of Danby and Mount Tabor. Question is, shall Curry Memorial School be closed effective July 1st of 2026? Okay, and that vote is tomorrow. The referendum vote for Sunderland is exactly the same. I apologize. It looks like all this stuff just did cut off at the bottom because I didn't format it well. So let me just jump back. So this, so tomorrow's vote, and I am happy to I'll put this up again, but Danby, the voters in Danby, but all three communities vote at their town hall. And Danby's vote, you can go in and vote between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. in the town of Danby. In Mount Tabor, you can vote between 10 a.m. and 7 p.m. Okay. So in Sunderland, the language is exactly the same. So the same language that I read for Courier, it's the closure of Sunderland Elementary School located in Sunderland, Vermont. Pursuant to Article 14 of the Articles of Agreement, the Board of Directors presents the following non-binding advisory question to the eligible voters of the town of Sunderland. Shall Sunderland Elementary School be closed effective July 1st, 2026? And that vote happens at Sunderland Town Hall, and the polling stations in Sunderland are open from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. So both Mount Tabor and Sunderland, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Danby is 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. tomorrow. So the information will be collected by the town clerks the way that they typically are, and the information will be given to, usually I receive the information either late tomorrow night after the polls close or on the next morning, so Wednesday morning. And that information will be used, it'll be given to the board, it will be included in the board packet so they know how many people voted and what the percentage of votes were in favor of closure or not in favor of closure. And that information will then be used at the November 4th board meeting at the Dorset School. So that's when the meeting is scheduled for next week. And it will be you can go to the Dorset School and be there in person. It will also be available to join virtually. And I don't know for sure that GNAT will be filming it, live streaming it, but I anticipate that it's likely that it will also be live streamed. So anyway, so that is the process. Let me just stop sharing here so I can see all of you. Okay. All right. So kind of that's the big picture for the vote, the voting process tomorrow. And we wanted to give you a chance to ask us questions. I don't know if it looks like, so we don't have any additional board members on here, but we've got Melanie Virgilio, David Chandler, Dick Dale, John Wilson, and Jeff Wilson on, all board members, and myself. So if you have a question about the process or any other kind of outstanding questions in your mind as you're trying to determine what what your vote's going to be that we can help with, we're happy to answer any of those questions. You can feel free to raise your hand. There's a virtual hand raise at the bottom. Great, Lizzie just did a terrific job of modeling that. So you can just raise your hand and then I will call on you. Lizzie, if you'd like to start, thanks for coming tonight.
Hi, thank you for coming. I want to say I live in Danby. I was at the Courier meeting that was held just like last week. I really appreciate all the time and thought that you've all put into this because I see that it's very complicated. And I felt like you made some really cogent points at your presentation about how having larger cohorts of children will enable having additional, teachers additional special things that are now getting cut, like language, music, whatever. Um, and my question is complicated. So as I understand it, if the school board does not close Courier and Sunderland, and the state steps in to decide where those students go, we don't have control over where that is, so that we could in Danby lose the option for high school students to go to Burr and Burton if they end up sent to another place. Um, and at the same time, at that Courier meeting, I heard a lot of anxiety from local parents about their young children riding buses for a really long time, which I think is very relevant. And I haven't read Act 73 closely, but my question is if there is room within the requirements of Act 73 for a sort of a compromise option where the youngest kids could stay at Courier and the older kids be bused to another school. So that is my question. Is there room to do something like that as an option?
Yeah, it's a great question. And you're right. It's like there's a lot of different things happening at the same time. Yes, I would say from from everything I've read, there is uncertainty about kind of what could happen to the community. And I think it's important to recognize that. I don't class sizes and the school size is not in a factor right now anymore in Act 73. It was in an earlier version. Now it's really class sizes and yeah, class sizes is the one factor that's really explicitly talked about. If right now, because of the size of Courier, if you pulled away, it only goes to 5th grade now. So it already doesn't go, the 6th grade moved down to the middle school a few years ago. And so going any smaller is going to continue to maintain the challenges that you will have moving forward. And that's what's concerning, is that when you think about some of the challenges now, if things are maintained and both schools stay open, if Sunderland and Courier both stay open, looking ahead, those challenges that currently exist get greater.
Okay.
And so that's the concern is when students don't have the academic and the social emotional services and support, even physical health services and support that they need, we know that that negatively affects their entire educational experience. And to provide full access to a full-time nurse or full-time academic interventionist, full-time school counselors, full-time unified arts teachers would cost the district and taxpayers an extraordinarily high amount of money. And so we try to balance being fiscally responsible with doing what's right for kids. And that's where the crux is right now. So the bus ride is for sure, for me, also the biggest concern. I'm really, really hearing that. We continue to be diving into that topic. I'm not sure who else is on here from Danby and Mount Tabor, but I will, as you a captive, Danby, I'll say Danby resident. I'm assuming you're from Danby just because the odds are in that favor. I met last week on Friday, I think, with teachers from Courier to really talk through what their concerns were. And I felt like it was a really, really great conversation. And we committed to continuing those conversations. They and I are both very committed to this transition process. We were able to have an open, frank conversation. I was able to kind of share informally, like, this is what I would love for the kids of Courier. I can't tell teachers and staff through this process what to do, because it's not designed that way. But I think you know, if you've had children in the system, what an unbelievably dedicated staff and workforce teachers we have at that school, and I anticipate that to continue. So a very long-winded answer, I apologize, but I wish sort of all of this was simpler, and I wish we weren't in the situation we're in, you know. Yeah, it's definitely difficult. So
Thank you for your answer.
yeah, you're welcome. Any other questions from folks from the community that we can answer, either me or one of the board members? No?
It
Okay,
almost looked like we were frozen until
I know.
Dick blinked.
All right. If there's no more questions, I don't know. Melanie, do you want to make any comments before we end, or we can?
No, I mean, I feel like we've spent a lot of time talking about it. We've had articles out. We've done everything we can. I don't know if there's anything that's been left unsaid right now,
Mhm.
other than, we know this is a hard process. And I hate to use the word excited, but it'll be good to see the votes from the community tomorrow and have a good understanding of really what this process has meant to them and how people are feeling at this point. So I do hope we get a fair amount of votes, one way or another, right?
Yeah,
It's
for
just the
sure.
communication.
All right. Any other comments? Okay.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody. And if anything comes up in the next few days, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to answer any questions. Okay. Thank you.